Independence Day is almost here. The best holiday in the calendar.
That's a super patriotic thing for you to say.
How could I not be? This is the time when we celebrate Sir Lyndon setting the slaves free. You didn't know that?
I make a nigga think twice, repentance, and make his soul bleed like the end of a sentence.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Why do you think he's on the $1 bill?
Because he freed the slaves.
Just like Moses. Did Moses not part the water with the king? Did strippers not make an ark when I made it rain? And what do you make it rain with?
With dollar bills?
With dollar bills.
Sir Lyndon didn't free the slaves.
Well, not with that attitude. Do you think in 1973 this is what Sir Lyndon died for?
Sir Lyndon didn't die in 1973, and slavery didn't end in 1973. It ended in 1834. The British abolished slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation throughout all the colonies.
So you're saying slavery ended in 1834?
Yes. Well, no.
And the plot thickens. So what about the strippers?
No, there were no strippers. It's just when Britain freed the slaves, it wasn't really freedom because the people that owned slaves still saw them as property. So they needed to recoup their losses on this property that they couldn't whip anymore. And that's where the apprenticeship started.
I think you're confusing the history of the Bahamas with Harry Potter.
No, not that type of apprenticeship. Basically said, oh, you're a slave. Okay, well, now you're free, except now you have to work for about 4 to 6 more years for your master because we don't think you can exist by yourself.
So did they pay them?
No, they didn't. I mean, they fed them, they gave them medicine, but the catch was, at the end of the 4 to 6 years, you'd have to pay your master back for the food and the shelter and the medicine that you used while you was working for them.
So what were they emancipated from?
Well, now, because they weren't slaves, they could complain and they couldn't be whipped indiscriminately. And this happened for a while.
And then freedom!
Well, no. Then came the trucking system, which was a form of indentured servitude.
So how are trucks a form of slavery? Unless, are Transformers real? Are the Decepticons real?
No, the Bahamian sailors would go out and gather sponges for weeks, and in the meantime, the family needed food, clothing, etc. So the guys who owned the shops, and often the boats, had an arrangement before you go out to sea. Hey, I'll pay you for food and goods.
That's not terrible.
It doesn't matter because their wages were so low that by the time they got back home, they owed the shop owners more money and they had to go back again for more sponges, and it was racking up more debt. I mean, it was a vicious cycle.
I believe Disney records call that the circle of life.
I can't tell if you're being clever or you just drifted into a Lion King daydream.
Well, Hakuna Matata to you too, my friend.
And two, the goods they got were garbage. So while regular black Bahamians stayed poor, the Greeks who owned the sponge market got a ton of money. Because it was illegal for them to sell sponges themselves, the Greeks would, buy it from them, and then they would sell it to the Americans and the British and the Europeans.
Europeans. It's always the Europeans.
Yeah, but sponges got wiped out, and then it was the 1900s. And, our labor continued to be exploited, so you see, in a way, slavery never really stopped.
Until tourism, right? I mean, thank God for tourism. Wait, this is an irony, isn't it? Wait, why should I believe you?
Trust me, my girlfriend is a history major.
The Ministry of Health should let you explain stuff like STDs to the public.
STDs?
Yes, sexually treated diseases.
I'm sure it's not. What is a sexually treated disease?
Depression.